Another 5 minutes, okay? Go.
Okay, another muscle that we can look at would be the posterior tib. And we think of the posterior tib is a group on the medial side of the ankle here, along with the FDL and the FHL. Those are certainly all plantar flexors. The others are including toe flexors. But also because they're on the medial side of the subtalar joint, they're also considered inverters. Again, we learn them as plantar flexors inverters, but we shouldn't think of them that way. In life, what they do first is we know eccentric precedes concentric. You have to decelerate the loading first before the body goes to an unload. So in gait, for example, the body is going to land, pronation will occur. As you continue to move over the foot, dorsiflexion occurs, and those tissues get loaded eccentrically. They decelerate that eccentric load prior to that terminal stance phase, actually producing any sense of plantar flexion inversion. So the eccentric loading occurs first. And we can think about not just a tubing exercise where we would point the foot down and in a non-weight bearing way, which is very not lifelike. It's not authentic to lifelike. But we would do things that produce the demand to decelerate dorsiflexion or to decelerate eversion, and that's really where the posterior tib is going to get kicked in first. The quads is a great example. Again, we think of the quads as a kicker, as a knee extender, but really what the quads is effective at doing first is decelerating flexion of the knee. We know that because we are all familiar with the idea of squatting. But the concept of thinking of the quads as a controlled flexor of the knee versus first thinking of them as an extensor. We have to think of situations and how the quad effectively can absorb, decelerate knee flexion in gravity environments. But before it ever produces any extension, it deals with the flexion first. Think about your abductors of the hip. Again, we think of them as abductors of the leg, but in life that doesn't happen very often. And even in dance or martial arts where it does, it's not done against a load. Why do we need such muscles when there's no load to move? Because when we're in single limb stance, those abductors are very critical at stabilizing the desire of the body to drop into adduction. And so those abductors are decelerators and stabilizers against adduction more than they are active abductors. And so we think of them, and we'll talk about some examples in just a few minutes as to how they do that. Think about the hip extensors. Again, the hip extensors rarely from a position of neutral need to produce forceful hip extension, but they do certainly from a position of flexion have to decelerate the flexion, and now they're length tension loaded before they can extend. They decelerate flexion before they produce extension. And so it's the eccentric loading into flexion that turns them on as extensors, and that's critical. And again, remember, we're only talking about sagittal plane dominant motions here. Those muscles, think about those glutes. Those glute fibers do not run oriented in this direction. They run oriented in this direction. So they're crossing the frontal and transverse plane. They have critical multi-plane functions here. And we need to take that into account as they train.